Title: A Romance Under the Bahamian Stars. The Davis's Journey. The Davis family had never been the typical vacationing family. Although they lived in Chicago, a city full of life and opportunities, rarely took time to escape the routine. But this summer was different. After years of work and sacrifices, they decided it was time to enjoy a deserved vacation. Ida's. Kenet, the only son of the Davises, was 22 years old. He was a quiet, intelligent, and somewhat introverted young man. He was in his final year of university, and, although he loved the idea of the holidays, he felt that the adventures that other young people his age usually had not yet come to him. He was a boy who spent more time with his books than with girls, and he never went to university parties on his own. His parents, Helen and Richard, made sure Kenet had everything he needed, but they also made sure he understood the value of hard work. Now, upon reaching luxury So Hotel in the Bahamas, the idea of disconnecting from everything seemed tempting. Although he didn't expect much in terms of fun, the impressive landscape and the warm climate made him relax from the first moment. The hotel was located right in front of the beach, with spectacular views of the crystalline sea. After leaving their suitcases in the room, the three decided to go for a walk by the shore and then have dinner at a restaurant that had been highly recommended by the locals. The idea of enjoying a meal by the sea, under the stars, seemed perfect. "This place is a paradise," Richard commented, breathing deeply the salty air. Kenet, a little distracted by the environment, nodded. He was more interested in the idea of trying the tropical cocktails than in the sea conversation. "I just want to disconnect a little," said Kenet, looking at the horizon. "Who knows? Maybe there's something interesting here," he thought to himself. Without much hope, dinner on the beach, to arriving at the restaurant, the atmosphere was perfect. The tables were placed on the sand, illuminated by candles and soft lights that created a romantic atmosphere. The sound of the waves breaking softly on the shore provided a natural soundtrack for the night. The family sat at a table near the water. Helen and Richard were delighted to be there, and while the waiter he took his order, Kenet settled into his chair, his mind wandering. Apparently, the place was full of tourists, but he didn't see anyone who really caught his attention. Then, a couple, he went and sat at the table next to the Davises. The woman, with long dark hair, wore a red dress that contrasted perfectly with the darkness of the starry sky. Her companion, a man, tall and attractive, he seemed as relaxed as she was. But what most caught Kenet's attention was the couple's daughter, a young woman of his same age, with a determined look and an attitude that leaves. It could be seen that she was not the type of girl who went unnoticed. She looked at him a couple of times, and when their eyes met, Kenet felt a slight tingling in his stomach. It wasn't something that he experimented frequently, and the discomfort of the situation made him blush for a second. "Are you all right, son?" his mother asked, noticing his slight bewilderment. "Yes, Mom, just Kenet." He was speechless, not knowing what to say. The young woman, whom Kenet now observed more attentively, smiled slightly and then looked back at him, but this time with a gleam in her eyes that he couldn't interpret it. There was something intriguing in that look, as if she were playing a game that he didn't understand. The first conversation. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere became more relaxed. The Davis family was enjoying dinner, while the waves whispered softly. At some point, the daughter of the neighboring couple got up and walked to the bar to order some. He drank. When she passed by the Davises' table, her eyes met Kenet's again. This time she didn't look away but stopped and smiled. "Hello," she said, breaking the silence. He spoke with his soft but sure voice. Kenet, surprised, looked up from his plate. "Hello," he replied, his voice somewhat clumsy, as if he were not used to this type of situation. The young woman He leaned slightly towards him, making his eyes shine under the dim light. "Do you come to the Bahamas often?" he asked, showing genuine interest. "It's my first time here," Kenet replied, attempt and seemed calm, but he couldn't help but notice how beautiful she looked. "Oh, then you'll surely enjoy the island much more. I'm Emily, by the way." Kenet hesitated for a moment, still processing the surprise that a girl like Emily was addressing him. "I am Kenet," he replied, extending his hand with a slight blush on his cheeks. "It is a pleasure, Kenet." She gave him her hand, but instead, to release her quickly, he held her a little longer than necessary, looking directly into her eyes. It was hard for Kenet to concentrate on what she was saying. He was caught in the intensity of her gaze. I, I'm also new here, continued Emily, finally releasing his hand. It's not easy to find such quiet places to relax, is it? Yes, that's true, he replied, with a shy smile. It's, Bo, I want to be far from the city noise. What about taking a walk on the beach after dinner? Suggested Emily, without stopping smiling. Kenneth didn't know what to answer. The idea of walking on the beach. Under the stars, it sounded wonderful, but I wasn't sure how to act. Of course, that sounds good, he finally answered, a little nervous. A romance under the stars. Dinner came to an end, and after politely saying goodbye to his parents, Kenneth got up and walked towards the shore, where Emily was already waiting for him. She was walking barefoot on the sand, enjoying the night breeze. It's beautiful, right? Said Emily, looking at the sea. Yes, I have never seen anything like it. Both walked in silence for a few minutes, until Emily decided to break the tension with a joke. Did you know that are there legends here about couples who fall in love under the stars? They say the sea has something magical. Kenneth smiled, feeling the atmosphere becoming lighter. I don't believe in those things, but this place has something special. Emily looked at him with a playful smile. Don't you believe in love at first sight? She asked, winking at him. Kenneth was surprised. He wasn't used to this type de comentarios. Pero la forma en que Emily lo miraba lo hizo sentir algo que nunca había experimentado. I think that only happens in movies, she said, trying to downplay the question, but with a shy smile. So what happens if you and I are the exception? Replied Emily, moving a little closer to him. At that moment, Kenneth felt time stop. The stars, they shone above them. The sound of the sea became a distant echo, and all he could hear was the beating of his heart. Without thinking, he took Emily's hand, and in a gesture of spontaneity, he kissed softly. The night continued with more laughter, conversations, and knowing glances. The chemistry between them was undeniable. For Kenneth, this was the beginning of an unexpected adventure, something he never imaginó en sus vacaciones familiares. The comedy of fate. The following days were full of laughter and fun moments. Emily and Kenneth shared dinners, walks around the island, and even they decided to try water sports together. Every day they got to know each other more, and the connection between them strengthened. One day, while practicing paddleboard, Kenneth lost his balance and ended up falling into the gua. Emily couldn't help but laugh out loud, and although Kenneth tried to maintain his dignity, he joined in the laughter. I told you wouldn't let me win, joked Emily, while Kenneth swam back to the tabla. It was an accident, he replied, while getting back on the board, this time more carefully. The relationship of Kenneth and Emily continued to grow, with comedic moments and pure fun. Although their vacation came to an end, both knew that something had begun under the Bahamian stars, something that neither the sea nor time could erase. End.